Think of the busiest highway in the world. Now replace the asphalt with muddy water and the semi-trucks with massive steel barges. The Mississippi River operates as a vital 2,300-mile maritime superhighway for global trade. Every single day, heavy agricultural cargo flows down this channel. In fact, 60% of all the grain that the United States exports to other countries starts its journey floating on this exact route. The financial scale of this traffic is immense. The barges pushing up and down the river handle about $200 billion worth of cargo every single year. If that water suddenly disappeared, the economic shock would be devastating. Cities like Baton Rouge and New Orleans rely on incredibly busy port systems that would simply dry up, resulting in a staggering daily loss of $295 million. The entire American shipping economy, along with a massive portion of the global food supply chain, takes the river's current geographic path for granted. We have built our civilization around the assumption that the water will stay exactly where it is, but the Mississippi River desperately wants to abandon its channel. It has been actively trying to change course and carve a new path to the ocean for centuries. In nature, rivers naturally exhibit a behavior called avulsion. Flowing water always seeks the path of least resistance, hunting for the shortest, steepest route downhill. This topographical map shows the specific shortcut the Mississippi is trying to take. Off to the west is the Atchafalaya River Basin. It offers a much steeper drop to the Gulf of Mexico, and the route is over 150 miles shorter than the current path. By the middle of the 20th century, scientists calculated a terrifying deadline. Without heavy human intervention, the Mississippi River would have completely switched its flow into this Atchafalaya shortcut by about 1990. Letting geologic nature take its normal course would leave Louisiana's busy maritime ports high and dry in the mud. Stopping a river of this size required a massive mechanical intervention. To fight the river, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers built a sprawling mechanical fortress hidden in the swamp, the Old River Control Structure. This split-flow visualization demonstrates the primary mandate of the complex. The gates act as a giant mechanical faucet, forcing exactly 70% of the water to continue down the main Mississippi Channel, while allowing only 30% to take the Atchafalaya shortcut. To keep trade moving across that drop, engineers included a navigation lock, a water elevator lowering massive ships between the channels. But controlling water wasn't the hardest part. The real engineering hurdle was sediment transport, calculating the exact movement of millions of tons of mud and sand. To solve this, the Army Corps brought in the world's leading expert on the subject, Albert Einstein, son of the famous physicist. Mastering how the river pushed dirt was critical. If they didn't account for the abrasive power of the mud, the river's current would quickly carve a deep trench directly underneath any standard concrete dam they tried to build. For a decade, the structure worked perfectly. Then came 1973. Heavy spring rains combined with rapidly melting northern snow sent an overwhelming surge of water downstream, pushing the mighty river beyond its expected limits. The sheer hydraulic force of the rushing floodwaters slammed into the complex. The pressure was so intense that the massive concrete walls of the main low-sill structure began to violently shake. This animated cross-section reveals the hidden disaster. Fast-moving water scoured a 50-foot cavity directly beneath the foundation block. Lowering a camera through the floor, panicked engineers found visual proof of impending collapse. Live fish swimming freely in an empty void. A frantic rescue operation began. Crews rushed in barges to blindly dump massive boulders and thick grout into the underwater whirlpool. Simultaneously, the Army Corps opened emergency spillways for the first time in history, intentionally flooding farmland to relieve the crushing water pressure. Human engineering narrowly survived the stress test. But the terrifying event proved that nature is an unstoppable force. constantly probing our defenses for a fatal weakness. The aftermath left a difficult reality. The old river control structure survived, but its foundation was permanently crippled by the scouring of the 1973 flood. Because of that deep foundational damage, the original structure can no longer safely handle the kinetic pressure it was designed for. Today, it can only manage about 60% of its originally engineered water capacity. This severe near miss forced the United States government into action. They spent over $1 billion to construct a brand new 6-gate auxiliary structure right next door. This new complex serves a very specific function. It acts as a massive backup parachute, designed solely to catch the excess power if the main valve ever buckles again. We didn't fix the root geologic problem. The river still wants to move. We merely built an incredibly expensive secondary defense mechanism to buy ourselves a little more time. If the old river control structure fails today, the local devastation would be swift. The water level in the current Mississippi Channel would quickly drop by 20 feet or more, permanently stranding billions of dollars of shipping vessels in the mud. A severe freshwater crisis would strike almost immediately. With no downstream pressure, salty ocean water from the Gulf of Mexico would creep up the newly emptied river channel, destroying the drinking water supply for millions of people in New Orleans. The fallout would rapidly spread across the globe. 60% of America's grain and massive fuel supplies would suddenly be cut off from ocean access, triggering simultaneous global food shortages and energy spikes. The Mississippi River is patient. It chips away at its banks every single day, while human crews work around the clock, constantly dumping rocks and grout into the current just to maintain the status quo. The old river control structure hasn't defeated the Mississippi River. It has merely trapped the entire global economy in a high-stakes, never-ending battle that we absolutely cannot afford to lose.